What's innovative about what Arm Insight does is we have a creative approach to solve FinTech and financial industry's biggest data problem. And more specifically, the biggest data problem in the industry is that FinTech organizations and the financial industry as a whole sits on the most valuable data in the global economy, meaning financial transactions and financial data. However, they have been very slow and have been unable to properly monetize that data, given all of the regulations, the fear, or just the lack of know-how. ARM solves that problem. More specifically, we enable FinTechs and financial institutions to safely monetize their data while protecting consumer privacy. The idea came from what the marketplace was needing at the time. So ARM has been in the financial analytics and data space for 10 years. And about 5 years ago, it became very apparent that there needed to be a new way, a better way for banking institutions and FinTechs to safely monetize their data. Because ARM saw that trend, and we do work with thousands of FinTech and financial institutions, we were able to create innovative solutions that solve that problem. And namely, we created synthetic data, which helps institutions monetize their data while protecting consumer privacy. In our case, it was pretty clear because there's two macro trends that are happening. One is regulations and compliance that will continue to grow. And secondarily, the bad guys, the fraudsters, they're not going away. So if you combine those two macro trends and then say, how do we address them? That's where we came up with our approach to synthetic data and our product called Mimic. Our Mimic product, and again, the whole concept of Mimic is to enable financial institutions and FinTech organizations to safely monetize their data while protecting consumer privacy. And the way it works is really straightforward. We implement the Mimic app inside of the organization, inside of the FinTech organization or bank, and therefore, only synthetic data leaves that organization. So no personal information ever leaves, nothing about the consumer itself, just what we call fake and synthetic data leaves that institution. And therefore, one, it has no personal information. Two, it can't be retraced back to the consumer. And thirdly, and most importantly, it never ever leaves the financial institution. There's two things that we're very proud of. And the first is recognizing this trend on how to help financial institutions and FinTech monetize their data in conjunction with, we saw the macro trend of needing to protect consumer privacy, and to be able to actually create a product that solves both of those two macro trends that could seem like opposite trends. To be able to solve that problem with one product is definitely what we're most proud about. And I should say, it's been adopted by 1,000+ institutions. So not only creating the solution itself, but the fact that more than 1,000 institutions have adopted this as a standard, and that ARM is the leader in synthetic data is quite something the whole team is proud of. The first is you have to listen to the industry. You have to be really good listeners. And secondly, you have to innovate with data. ARM has a history of being really good at data, but then once you understood that those two macro trends, monetizing data, but yet protecting consumer privacy, once you understood those two trends aren't going away, then having the team sit back, reflect on what the marketplace was telling us, and to be able to create the app and install it inside the banking institution's firewalls, that was what was the breakthrough for us. And quite frankly, was hard work and then the team being innovative with how we were going to address the market needs. One is a company called Bumped that I'm pretty impressed with. And so what Bump does is they reward consumer loyalty with stock. So in other words, if you're a favorite of, say, Lowe's or Home Depot and you visit them more often, for every dollar you spend there, they will buy a fraction of stock. So it's what I like about it is it's innovative, it gets the customer to be more loyal, and it sets up long-term financial incentives for both the retailer and the consumer themselves, and which they both can benefit from. So it really innovative company. I've been following them. I actually am a user myself, and I think it's a trend that'll keep growing. I think Galileo has an innovative way. If you look at the macro economy, that more what I'll call non-financial institutions are starting to get into finance. There had to be an easier way for them to do that, right? So if you talk about some like whether an Uber or any other huge FinTech wants to get into the finance space, they needed a way to do so. And Galileo has done that with their APIs in a very fast and innovative way. And I think that really matches up well with the way other entities are getting into the FinTech and the financial sector.